For those of you that saw my last post and shared it, I'd like to start out by saying thank you. And I would also beg you, for those that haven't done anything about it, to call 4, 5, 6 people between now and Monday and ask them to fight on your behalf. That you're going to start voting with your dollars. And if they don't, you're going to go elsewhere. Because we're at a turning point in this business as far as I'm concerned. I'm sitting in a building that we sold 10,000 feeder cattle and calves the last 2 weeks in a competitive market. And it's really the only competitive market left in the beef business, or in all the meat business, actually. You know, here in sale barns around the country, we line up every week. We evaluate the cattle on kind, condition, quality, lot size. And we bid against each other with price differentiation to send these cattle on to the supply chain. But in this video today, I would like to kind of explain to those that don't know what happens through the system. You've got a producer that buys bulls, owns cows, takes care of them every day, has the offspring from those calves, weans them. Most haul them to town, sell them at weaning. They are purchased by a stocker or a grower or a feedlot backgrounder, so on and so forth, in a competitive market. The stocker grower then feeds them, takes care of them for 4, 5, 6, 7 months more. These cattle are then resold as feeders, sent to a feed yard, and fed for 4 to 6 months, depending on size. So you're talking about a 22 to 26 month process. Now, when those cattle are mature, fat, and ready to harvest, you have about a week or 2 week window to sell them. And here's how that goes in today's world. You have the choice to put them on in the live market for the 3 or 4 packers to come bid on, or you decide to grid the cattle. The gridding of the cattle has become more popular the last decade, mainly driven by pride of ownership, to try to separate your quality cattle that you have raised, bought, and give a premium for from the masses. So, the yards that turn in the grid cattle on Friday afternoon about this time are going to compile a list of how many cattle they're going to send to the grid. And they will send those lists out to the packers they're going to grid them with. With this goes the notion, here's how many I'm going to send you, so you can schedule your employees, your plants, and your customers that you're going to send meat to. We have no idea what they're going to bring. And you can pick them up whenever you want, next week or the week after. Hell, we're not going to say a damn word. Just get them whenever you would like. Now, some of you don't know, want to know how these are. The price is established on these. So, starting Monday, Tuesday, the packer buyers will drive to the yards or call the yards and get the list if they're too lazy to even go, and find out the limited amount of cattle that are on a live show list. Most of these cattle are on the live show list because they fear they're not good enough to go to the grid and bring back the market. So we're talking about a high number of inferior cattle. So you've got 3 or 4 monkeys from packers driving around looking at something they really probably have no earthly idea what they're looking at. And then they're going to bid on these inferior cattle. And they're going to try to buy them as cheap as they can. All the while, the price of those inferior cattle in the live market is based off the Chicago Mercantile Exchange's future markets, which are traded by commodity funds that have no invested interest in the beef business. it would be very relative to you and me going to the casino. They're gambling on which way the market's going to go, and they have enough power and enough money. They can send the market in the direction they want by volume. So you have these inferior cattle out here, and you have somebody playing with the futures market. The cattle that have been owned for 24 to 26 months and all the money invested in, all the way down the supply chain, that was raised in the United States, is going to go to all the elite restaurants, the high dollar product that all Americans line up to eat every Friday, Saturday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever they go to the steakhouses. And sometime by the end of the week, the packers bid these people that have bought cheaper cattle, coon shit, cattle too old, cattle not good enough, a price that they will then accept basis off the futures board. Depending on the choice select spread, the cattle you turned in on the grid then will get a premium to whatever the monkeys in the cars that drove around and found the cheapest guy to sell out to them and start the live trade. Because once they've bought 5, 6, 8,000 head, the live trade's basically over for a week without an anomaly in the futures market. I mean, does that sound like a pricing system of somebody that has control of their market? Does that sound like a pricing system that when you're lining up to compete against somebody else on that calf or feeder, does it make sense that that's how he's priced when he's ready to go to the consumer? I would think not. The futures board can change the value in that animal up to 10% with a limit up, limit down move with expanded limits. So the monopolization of the system is severe. It is real. And we have no control over our pricing of our product. There's no other business that I know that operates like that. Nobody sends a product to put on a shelf at Walmart and says, I'm going to send you 500 of these on Friday. Let me know what they bring sometime next week, whenever it's convenient for you. And that's going to be based off of another quick shop or another store down the road of what they happen to sell theirs for this week that might be out of date, packaging may be screwed up, may be something wrong with it. I mean, if you compare that to anything else the consumer buys, the pricing structure is unbelievably flawed. So, for those that don't think it's important at this time to try to change the way cattle are priced, are really cutting their nose off to spite their face. Because if we don't change how it is done, you're not going to have the people in here giving competitive prices for calves and feeders. And then I don't know what the system becomes. The economic impact of what these cattle producers all across the country does for rural communities in raising this product is extreme. And without these small communities and restaurants and tire shops and tractor supplies and Orschelns and John Deere's and the whole list of people that I want to know where they are at fighting for the American beef producer, because they're the ones that we give all of our money to raising them. We'll take it one step further. When our product hits the shelves that we've taken the American pride in raising, we've spent the high dollar amount on bulls, we've handled the cattle the way they need to be handled, and when we present that to the customer, we have a government that allows the packer to bring an inferior meat product in from wherever they choose to, Canada, Australia, South America, and they get to use our good name by putting a package on it that, says product of the USA. That's false advertising as far as I'm concerned. But we allow the packer to use our name to sell somebody else's inferior product after they have bought an inferior live cattle here and stole our premium cattle from that base price. That makes no earthly sense to me. Not to mention, to take this to the third step, the American producer that sells the animal has paid $1 a head to the beef checkoff to advertise the packer's product. We're selling live animals. The packer's selling the meat. The checkoff does nothing to advertise the live animal to local ranchers and farmers of buying a calf or a feeder to a feedlot. The checkoff dollars have advertised the beef, which the retail margin of the packer has grown and grown and grown the last decade. So the American producer has spent millions of dollars to advertise the product to 4 companies that get up every day trying to screw them, and their margins get bigger, and they're allowed to bring in meat from inferior countries of inferior cattle, mix it with ours, and put our goddamn name on it. So if that does not piss you off, if that does not make you want to fight for the American cattleman, I don't know what would. Please call people and ask them to fight for you. Call where you do business and ask them to call the senators and representatives. We need to price beef off the retail price. I don't know what that percentage is. That's above my pay grade. But it is a broken pricing system, and we will not survive if we continue to let it last. Right now it's on the forefront of everybody's mind, and right now is the time to make something happen. Again, I thank everybody that did share it. I appreciate the commentary and the discussion, and I implore you to make everybody you know try to help this situation. It's Good Friday. I hope everybody has a good Easter weekend. And I look forward to hearing the feedback and seeing what people do about this. Let's please fight for our business. Thank you.